Today I have a new guest. He's a good friend of mine, and he's almost like my younger brother. If you see them, our haircut and eyeglasses are very similar. And also we share same language, same culture, same heritage. And we are also colleagues for the past 5 years. I have Muhtar here, and he's one of our favorite instructors. All of our instructors are very favorite, but he's one of our favorite instructors that students love to learn Java. I heard that they call you king of Java. I saw from Discord.
That's some nicknames that students gave me,
nickname.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, how's everything?
Good. How about you, Joe Rogan?
No, I'm not Joe Rogan. I wish that I was in his show, but yeah,
your podcast looks awesome,
Yeah, that's why I
that
copied
reminded me of Joe Rogan.
Because of the red curtains.
The red curtains.
Joe Rogan is known for red curtains, but I put you there, not me. But the thing is this, right? Yeah, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Muhtar. I'm the instructor at Saidio. I've been working with Saidio for past 5 years. I mainly teach Java, SQL, Python. Those are the languages that I teach.
So you've been teaching for past 5 years. And I do think some of your students, it's not because Google is so great, it's just difficult to get in, and people know the FANG companies like Facebook, whatever, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Google, and Netflix. But the thing is, I believe the tech jobs is not only from the tech companies. Today, if you ask many banks, right, JP Morgan Chase, Capital One, and are you a banking business? They're like, no, we're tech business in the banking industry, right? So now they call themselves like fintech. So lots of your students are working for those amazing companies. You've been teaching this many years. One of the questions I want to ask is, recently, the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, and he said in the future, you don't have to learn programming anymore. You can just use your natural language, not programming language, just like use a plain English to tell the system to build applications for you. I think that's what he meant. And it went viral, right? Everybody was discussing we don't have to learn code anymore. And this is creating lots of confusion for people studying computer science or attending bootcamp, or people are thinking, probably I want to learn coding at some point and get into the tech field. Will AI just wiped out the coding industry? Just people who know code, they have no jobs now? What is your take on it? You've been teaching for Java and programming for 5 years. What is your opinion on that?
So, I have been using those AI tools a lot since it started. It's pretty cool. You can do lots of things with those AI tools. It can improve your productivity. But my take on that question is, I have to disagree, because AI is not going to replace the programmers. First reason is it's hard for the AI to understand some complex challenge, and AI does not have the critical thinking. That's also one big problem. And if you want the AI to do some certain task, you have to be extremely specific about the requirements, everything. Otherwise, AI might end up giving you some unrelated solutions to your problem. AI for sure will improve the productivity of programmers. It can help you to do your job better for programmers. It can 10x the productivity of the programmers, but it's not going to replace the programmers. It still needs human brain, those tech companies. AI cannot completely replace the programmers. That's what my take is on the AI.
So also my opinion is this: there's lots of libraries in Java. What do you have in libraries? Pre-written codes you can just import and use it.
That's correct. In JDK library, there are lots of pre-written codes, pre-written classes. You just import them and use their methods and classes. Yes.
So for people who don't know coding, can we just assume these are like a ready Lego parts and pieces? You can just call it and use it, put it together. Let's say you want to build a structure. You just use the existing Lego pieces, which is like methods that is already in the library. You don't have to remake the piece of the Lego because it's already there. All you got to do is call it and use it.
Yes, since they are pre-built, yes, as long as you understand what the functionality of that method, that specific field is for, then yes, you can just call it and use it. But still, you have to have some comprehensive knowledge in programming in order to be able to use that.
The point I want to make is, if we assume that we don't have any libraries in Java or C# and we have to build everything from scratch, by the time you get into a problem solving, let's say you get hired by Google, now you have to build everything from scratch. There's no library at all. And you have to write every single piece of code yourself from scratch, right? I don't know, maybe it's going to take 10 years for you to actually start solving the problem itself, right?
Yes.
So the point I want to make is this: AI is going to make us more productive. Even if you're a software developer, imagine you build let's say you're building a login functionality for people to be able to visualize or check out for e-commerce, right? You're not sitting down, how do I strategically design login? I mean, it's like basic things where you don't need critical thinking, problem solving, or freaking checkout. But when you have AI doing some of the repetitive jobs in programming, I think it's fantastic opportunity. It's unlocking opportunity for those knowledge workers. Actually, they can solve bigger, better, more strategic problems instead of like writing codes for logins and checkouts,
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah. So you've been teaching all these years and you have experience for people learning coding from scratch. Is that difficult to learn coding from scratch? Like, is there anything that you can recommend them for faster progress?
Learning programming from scratch now is easier than ever compared to before. So because there are lots of tools that are available that can help you to learn programming better, right? For example, AI tools, they can also help you to learn programming better. And my advice to people who wants to learn programming from scratch is, first, you have to focus on the fundamentals. You have to know the fundamentals. It's just like knowing the rules of the game before you play it, right? You have to know the fundamentals. You have to have good understanding of the concepts first. Then you need to focus on the practices. You have to do lots of practice tasks. You have to stay consistent with your practices. And then you also have to stay patient because sometimes some certain topics, for example, in Java, there are some complex topics like data structures, OOP principles, etc. You do not just understand them when you first watch the video or when you first work on the task. It takes some time for you to fully understand and fully digest that topic. So you also have to be patient with it. And then lastly, you have to work on some sort of projects. Doesn't matter if it's a simple project like calculator or the one that you mentioned like login functionality or something, anything, any project, you can start to work on it. Because when you work on the project, you will be able to implement whatever you have learned in programming into real work. That's where you learn the most. So in conclusion, first, you have to know the fundamentals and concepts, and then you have to do practices, and then you have to work on some sort of projects in order to get better at programming.
I guess there's something that I feel learning programming has similarity with working out in the gym.
Exactly.
Like some people like, oh, I pay my subscription for coding.org. I mean, I don't know, I'll just come up with that. I'm paying every month. I'm watching videos every month. So you can watch your trainer working out every single day, but at the same time, you have to show up for the workout. And if you don't show up consistently once a week, yeah, I think it's better than not showing up at all. But you get the most result when you're showing up every single day with no exception. I do think learning coding is very similar, that you have to be very consistent, not like practicing for like 15 hours a day versus you can practice, let's say, 3 hours a day for 5 days is better than 15 hours a day.
Absolutely.
So you spread it out and you're consistent, you're patient, because good things takes time. And it takes time for you to visualize, understand some of the concepts. And most importantly, I guess, whatever you learn, implement on a project is the most important thing, I guess.
Definitely. You see, it's a great example that you give, the gym, working out that example. One of the examples that I give to my student is like driving. So how did you get your driver license? You do lots of practices, right? You learn the concepts, like theoretical parts, you take the written exams, and then you take the actual driving exam, right? That's how you get the driver license. But in order for you to get the driver license at the end, you have to be good at driving. How you become good at driving? You have to practice it every day, probably. You have to drive the car over and over again. You have to do like lots of parallel parkings, the reason I'm mentioning parallel parking is because that's the part that I failed in my first driving test. But after doing lots of practices, I was able to get my driver license. So learning programming is just like learning driving. You just have to do nonstop practices so that you can get better at it.
So in terms of like, for me, I feel like what did I learn from programming is how to understand certain problems, because coding is like challenging and you have to understand what you want to do first. It's not just going and code.
Exactly.
And second is solving problem. And there's always more than one solution for a problem. There are some solutions are very not efficient and some of them are very efficient and bulletproof. You are also teaching your students problem solving. Why do you think it's so important in today's age that you have to learn problem solving?
So what I believe is that problem solving, it helps with any career. Does not matter if you are a programmer or teacher or driver, in any career, you will definitely face some sort of problem, right? And if you have problem solving skills, you will be able to look at the problem with different approaches. And you may also come up with different solutions, not just one solution, could be multiple different solutions you can come up with, right? And if you have multiple solutions, multiple options to solve one particular problem, that means you are most likely going to have better outcome at the end, okay? So whatever the challenge that you face in the future, if you have strong problem solving skills, you can handle it with ease, definitely. So that's why I think problem solving skill is a must-have skill if you want to be successful in any career, not only in IT career, but in any career.
So in terms of making it a habit of problem solving, understanding the problem, deconstructing it, and working on it, I feel like there's lots of similarity between learning coding and learning problem solving. Do you see any parallel in there, like in your students, how coding can help people become better problem solvers?
So one of my favorite quotes about the Steve Jobs is he said that everyone should learn how to code because it teaches you how to think, right? When you learn coding, you will learn how to think logically. And coding, it helps you to look at the problems with a different approach. Because if there is one coding task, you could be able to solve it by using if statement or switch statement. There are many alternatives in coding to solve one specific problem. I usually tell my students every single task that you are doing right now has at least 3 different solutions. Okay, the Java task that I am talking about. And which means the more codings that you do in any programming language, the more codings that you do, the better that you become at problem solving. Yes, it takes some time for you to master the problem solving skill, but as long as you stay consistent with your coding, if you just do one task per day, after 100 days, that means you already have solved like 100 tasks, right? If you solve 100 tasks, that means your problem solving skill, it improved significantly already. And once you have certain level of problem solving skills, you can continue to improve it. You can continue to apply it to different types of problems, and it will grow even more, just like compounding.
It kind of, whatever you said, just triggered another question in my mind. Like, what is algorithm?
Algorithm, it's the step-by-step instruction of like solving a particular problem. That's what algorithm is. And if you want to be able to crack the coding interviews, yes, you have to have good understanding of algorithm. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to solve the coding task in the interview.
Okay. So now lots of people are like right now, right? Since we had really peak in the pandemic that companies were hiring like crazy. And after the pandemic, in beginning of 23, companies were fighting like crazy, which is fighting is like layoff. And lots of people are market looking for a job. I do think it's getting better right now. And when they go to interview, what do you suggest them, how they can do better on cracking coding interviews?
When it comes to cracking coding interviews, there are 3 steps I want everyone to know. But the coding is the 3rd step, the last one. It's not the first step at all. So the first step is you have to understand what the problem is, okay? You have to understand what is the task requirement is asking, what is the expected output. And once you understood what the problem is, what the coding is task is asking, then next you need to plan your strategy. So you have to think of the algorithm to solve that coding task. It's also a good idea for you to write down the pseudocode so that it will give you a clear idea of how to solve that problem efficiently. And then after you complete those 2 steps, then you can work on the coding part. So if you complete the first step number 1, the understanding problem, and step number 2, plan your strategy, plan your approach, and then the step 3 can be completed easily, which is the coding part.
It's awesome. So you just said something like pseudocode. Many people may not know what is pseudocode.
It is pseudocode. It's just a written definition of the algorithm, like how you want to solve the problem. What is the step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 of solving that problem? The written definition is pseudocode. It's written in the plain text.
Is there any simple example that you want to give me that any person like me can understand?
Oh, absolutely. For example, let's say you are writing a code for voting machine, right?
Voting machine.
Voting machine, yes. There are certain requirements in order for someone to be able to vote. One of the requirements is, for example, you have to be at least 21 years old, maybe, right? So how do you write the program for voting to verify if someone is eligible to vote or not?
I want to verify first if they're a citizen or not.
Mm-hmm.
Second, if they have valid ID
Yes.
in their location.
Mm-hmm.
Third, I want to make sure that they're not 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have to be old enough to vote. I guess that's sufficient.
That's
and
what pseudocode is.
They have to show up in the voting station.
Exactly.
That's a pseudocode.
That's the pseudocode. Written structure of the solving that problem, solving that algorithm is what pseudocode is.
Then for each step that I have to write particular code, for example, I want to make sure their identity, which is their first name, last name, date of birth, things like that.
Right.
Second part is they're coming to station or not, voting station. Okay, got it.
Yeah. The codes that you wrote, it has to follow the pseudocode in order to crack that interview coding task.
So I've seen lots of people, they have pretty ambitious expectation of learning coding in 12 weeks and become full stack developers. And now you have to learn front end, back end, and JavaScript, CSS, Angular, SQL, lots of crazy stuff, right? It's just like unimaginable for me. And in your case, you are only teaching Java full-time for 4 months. And is that because that as a teacher, you're incompetent, that you cannot teach people Java in 12 weeks or Java plus C# plus JavaScript plus HTML and CSS and a SQL in 12 weeks? Or like people, it's not realistic expectation that you want to learn all these languages in 12 weeks because you teach only Java Foundation for 4 months full-time. What is your opinion on that?
So we teach Java 3 to 4 months. That's because Java itself is considered as one of the most difficult programming language. And there are also many complex concepts, data structures, things that are included in Java. And if you want to fully understand all those complex concepts, then 12 weeks will not be enough for you. Maybe in 12 weeks, you just understand some basic concepts, that's it. But if you want to know in details how it works, how it can be implemented into real work scenarios, then you definitely need more time and you need more practices, So you're not just going to fully understand the entire programming language of Java in 12 weeks. It's just not doable.
But it's not about Java. I want to become full stack developers in 12 weeks.
Full stack developer?
Yeah, 12 weeks. Because
so does that mean you just spent 2-3 weeks for programming and then another 2-3 weeks for other tools? That's not reasonable time.
Just the point I want to make is I just want people to be realistic. Mm-hmm. And last year I started planting tomatoes and peppers. One of the best things I've discovered in my life. Oh my God, I enjoyed it so much. So I plant the seeds, right? And I had to water them every day to get a single tomato.
How long did it take?
I think approximately 6 months.
Why didn't you just complete it in 2 months?
Yeah, it took time. So then it's really, it really changed my level of patience when I look for stuff, whether, I want to be successful in business much more than right now. I want to accomplish certain tasks much faster. And what I've realized from gardening is it takes 6 months at least to get a freaking tomato. One tomato, 6 months.
Exactly.
Right? And sometimes it doesn't work out, right? You have to plant multiple seeds and just have, let's say, 20% of the seed will not grow, right? If a tomato takes 6 months, I think changing a career, learning a new skill set to be successful in life, I think it's going to take time.
Oh, definitely. It will definitely take.
That's why sometimes I feel like when lots of people have this dream of, or selling the dream of, you can become full stack developer 12 weeks, I just feel like it's a little bit misleading. And I want people to understand that good things takes time and you have to put lots of effort. You take it for granted like tomato. It's a long process until it comes to your table. Yeah, good things take time. So that's why I think even Java part, you have to teach 4 months in your program that you're teaching right now.
Yes. Even after Java classes ended, in the other classes, students, they still have to continue to implement the Java programming. They still have to continue to do the practice with Java. Otherwise, you just forget it easily, you know. For example, if you just learn the Java in 3 weeks, right? Let's say 3 weeks, and then you stop using it, that means in the next 1 week, you will forget it. So if you, in our course, after we teach the concepts and fundamentals of Java in 3 months, after 3 months, they will still have to work on some tasks, work on some projects to keep practicing Java. Otherwise, they will also forget the programming.
So you have, I think, past 5 years, more than 1,000 students graduated from you, at least. Like you were their, instructor. You have younger students. You have more older students. If somebody's like 50 years old, do you think it's possible for them to learn coding? Is that doable for them? Like, do you have any example that you know, or any pattern that you see from people like 45, 50, whatever, they're thinking that it's too late for them to learn coding?
I have witnessed that a lady, she was 56, I think, 56, yeah. She graduated from us, and then she also landed into one of the big IT tech company. And so based on my experience, yes, it is still doable. Anyone can learn programming regardless of where you came from, how old you are, whether you have a graduated from college or high school, like whether you have diploma or not, anyone can learn programming.
So do you think that people will discriminate based, I know it's illegal, right? I mean, age discrimination is illegal, but hiring companies, like these people making hiring decisions, they're not stupid. They're not going to say, oh, because you're 55, I'm not hiring you. I mean, they're going to go to jail or pay fine for that. But the thing is, they might come up with different reason to disqualify.
Yes, with different excuses, they will try to move on to other candidates. Yeah.
But did you see any hard time, these people, because of their age, like really getting discriminated? That people are not able to find job? Did you witness that or something? Like when they were in the market looking for a job?
There has also been some scenario when the candidate passed the interview, since the candidate age is around 50s. And there was also another candidate that passed the interview who was 25 or 30 years old. At that time, sometimes the companies, depending on company, sometimes the companies might prefer the younger candidate, because I believe that the company might think it's the younger people, they might be more sharper. And
that's their perception.
That's their perception,
also,
I think.
It's a discrimination, but you cannot prove sometimes.
Right.
You cannot, like, they're not going to say...
They will not show you. They just give you some excuses. Sounds like valid, then they will move on to other candidates.
That means if I'm about 50, if I want to learn coding, I should not ever start then.
No, not all companies like that. There are also cases where the companies are still hiring the people that are around 40s and 50s, because they do believe that you have more experience if you are 40 or 50 years old, more experience in life and also more work experience. And those experience will also definitely help the company to do well in the long run.
So one of my advice for those that think their ages, they're too old, like there's nothing too old. You have to learn until probably as long as you're alive every single day. I believe in lifelong learning. But there are some people, they do think that they're too old to learn, let's say 45, 50 or 55. I think they should have realistic expectation. My advice is because if you're 50 and if you're 45, I don't think it's an issue, but if you're 50 and above, you work so hard and you go to market, and you will see that when you do like phone screening, they're not going to be able to see your age. But when you show up for the interview, whether it's Zoom or in person, once they find out that, you're older, they could come up with some excuses to not hire you, but they're not going to say because of your age, because it's illegal.
True.
You just have to accept it. It's like throughout the human history, this is our tendency. You cannot fight the psychology of human beings, right? They're going to judge your age. They're going to think that sometimes people, they're getting older, they're slower, they have more problems. Younger people, they have more stamina, whatever, right? This is like how people think. We cannot change that. However, I do think there are still good companies, good cultures, good people exist. And just how it's numbers game. If somebody's 25 and I think their technical levels, let's say 8 out of 10, and you're equal 8 out of 10, but you're 50, right? This 25 years old has a higher chance to get multiple offers, find job faster. All you got to do is try a little bit more. And when you get rejected, I mean, it's not end of the world, right? So like, just make it normal. If you know that it could be a normal scenario that, let's say, out of 10 jobs you apply, like 5 will not hire you, you still have other 5 opportunities. So you just have to apply a little bit more harder, a little bit more job, and showing up a little bit more interviews to get that offer. I think that's my advice for those people. At the same time, I would say sometimes those people, they have emotional maturity and better problem solving and better leadership skills, right? So it's not like everything you have is disadvantage. With the age, there's some wisdom comes with the age, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you see this like really super technical people, they're punk, like really like it becomes really unproductive. Your technicality really doesn't matter when you don't know how to communicate with people, how to show respect, how to make a good team member. I do think people with higher age, they've been through lots of experiences. That could become their competitive advantage, right? Especially in the age of AI. Like average developer with the help of generative AI, like Copilot, can become really above average developer.
Yes, AI tools, they can help the average programmers become an advanced programmer, definitely.
So if average developer using AI is producing much higher quality code than somebody used to make $500,000 in Google, I think at that point, technicality become commodity.
Yes.
What's going to happen is your emotional intelligence, your leadership, your communication, it's going to become competitive advantage.
Right.
So 2 sides of the coin, right? So at that time, maybe your age used to be your disadvantage, could become advantage as well.
Could be, yeah. That makes sense.
Tell me from your experience. Don't tell me general stuff like, generally, yeah, whatever. Whatever you've seen from your students, you have enough evidences or experiences. I have 4 kids, right? I've seen my wife going through all the phases of her life. We met when we were 20. Now we're 40. Been together for 20 years. She is amazing woman. She is so resilient, extremely smart, like giving me lots of strategic advices. But sometimes I think because she doesn't have, like you come to work, right? You have 2 developers. The developer A, if he's A player, he's going to have a reference point of developer B as a B player. And at least he's going to feel, because he will get validated because there's comparison, right? But these moms and wives raising kids, and though they're so good at sometimes, I believe, because they have never sometimes worked in a professional environment, so they cannot necessarily able to compare themselves to others. That gives them doubt. Am I good enough? I'm not good enough. Oh, she knows so much. Look at her, the way she talk, right? Like they compare themselves with somebody they see in a TV or some corporate ladies. So it hurts their confidence. Sometimes they have self-doubt. And you've been teaching those people. Half of our students are female students. What is your experience with those moms with the kids? Do you think they can learn, or what do you see in their success? Like, tell me your observation.
From my observation, based on my experience with the students, most of the students that I have seen who are moms, single moms, and who are also taking care of their families, they intend to work a lot more harder than some college graduates or some younger people with no family or no kids, So I think the responsibility is what keeps those moms to work even harder. And that's how they ended up getting more offer than those who do not have kids or who do not have husband or wife, those type of people. Yes, from my experience, those who have kids, who have bigger responsibilities, they tend to work a lot harder than those who don't. So I think, responsibility keeps them awake, keep pushing them every day to work harder towards their goals.
So I think it kind of resonates with me, right? In 2011, I was a package delivery driver. The job was just so hard. And I made $28,000 in 1 year with 2 kids. I don't know how did I survive, man. I just don't remember what did I eat. It's crazy. And then I've heard of people learning coding, getting into IT. Do I look like I have passion to IT?
Yes, you do.
Okay, I look like right now. Huh?
Yeah, with your glasses on,
no,
you do look like.
I had no idea about IT at all. And what made me successful in my career, not because I was passionate about IT, I was passionate about my family. I knew that $28,000 is not enough to provide a good life for my family. I said, I'm going to work for my wife. I'm going to work for my kids. I think that was the reason that with the high school diploma, I was able to learn how to code and really well, pass interviews, get offer. And I think there's a Chinese proverb, 成家立业. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
成家means, by the way, I'm not Chinese, I'm Turkic Uyghur. I speak Chinese. 成家means like get married and establish family.
Yes.
立业is establish business or career. If you establish family first,
You can
and you can
establish your empire.
You're not
right?
empire, but you establish your family first, and you'll establish your career or business, right? I think that is exactly happened to my life. If I didn't have kids, I'm probably single, having good life. I mean, I make a couple $1,000 is going to be more than enough. But my kids, my family was my motivation. I had to push way harder and to be successful. It happened. Many mothers or fathers, they decide to kind of switch from their career from DoorDash or Uber or truck driving, not because they are so passionate about compiling codes. Come on, man. I think they're passionate about their family, which in this day and age, knowledge work pays better than labor work. So when we come back to those mothers, I feel like they have similar sense of responsibility and motivation to create a better life for their kids.
Yes, that's what keeps them awake at night.
Sometimes they give me goosebumps, when they talk about their experience, how they were single mother. I remember...
We have lots of stories from Side Your Moms.
Yeah, maybe we should start sideyourmoms.com, something like that. There was a lady, she was talking and sharing her experience. She said, I was a single mom, and I said, what did you do? Like, what is your background? She said, I was cleaning. I was doing cleaning. I was like, what cleaning? She said, I was cleaning restrooms, right? Office building. And she said, now in a similar fancy office building, I work as a software engineer.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So inspiring.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think almost a year, I guess, I've been using ChatGPT. I used to Google a lot. Google was my thought partner, Anything I Google first, I take a look. And then after a year, I realized I'm not going Google anymore. This is crazy. I never thought about it. When I look back, my Googling went down by 95%, I would say. And ChatGPT really changed the way that I do anything. The first thing I do is just go even checking grammar because my English is broken as an immigrant. Now we're talking about ChatGPT. GPT is doing more sophisticated work like coding. And do you think it's disadvantage for people who are coders? I mean, if ChatGPT is doing, why would I need coders, right? For example, I used to pay content writers, like copywriters, a lot of money. And it's very hard to find content writers, good one. Now I'm using ChatGPT, writing the contents that I used to pay thousands of dollars. I don't need them anymore. So is this same case for the coders? In this case, that's one question. The second one is, how can they use AI for their career? If somebody's already working as a developer, or they're trying to become a developer, or testers, or test automation engineers, anyone that's doing coding job, what is your suggestion and strategy that for them to use generative AI practically?
So my answer to the first question is, I want to clarify a couple things. For programmers, the traditional way of getting the help resource was Stack Overflow, these kind of websites. Me and my programmer friends, when we got stuck on some programming problems, we used to go to Stack Overflow and look for if anyone had the same problem. And then we will try to search for their solutions. And in order to search for their solution, you would have to read every single comment under Stack Overflow session. Okay. And it was taking lots of time back then. Okay. But ever since we started using ChatGPT and some AI tools, within like less than 1 minute, we are able to find the solution. We are able to find the help that we are looking for. So we are no longer using Stack Overflow right now. Just like you are no longer using Google to search for something, right? We're just using ChatGPT or some AI tools instead of Stack Overflow or Cure. So those traditional way of programming help resource, they are basically dying right now. And this AI, you see, it can help you to write better codes, right? If you have comprehensive knowledge in programming by utilizing those AI tools like ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot, you can write better codes that can do better stuff. So I think those AI tools, ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, all of those AI tools, they're going to help the programmers to do their jobs better. And it also saves lots of time so that the coders, they can focus on some fun and essential stuff. And the practical AI in programming. If you spend like 5-10 minutes to solve one particular problem in the past, now in less than 1 minute, you will be able to solve that problem with the help of the AI tools. AI tools like Tab9 or GitHub Copilot, right? So which means now that those AI tools, it can improve your productivity by 5x or 10x. So now by utilizing those AI tools, programming is more easier than ever. So as long as you have some basic understanding of programming, some good understanding of the fundamentals and concepts of programming, by utilizing those AI tools, you can become an advanced programmer easily, okay? Whatever the codes, whatever the solution that the AI is generating, you still have to analyze it by yourself as a programmer, because sometimes AI will still generate some wrong codes. I experienced it a couple times. But if you do have good knowledge in programming, you are able to use the AI more better. You are able to use it more efficiently to get the right result that you are looking for. So because at the end of the day, in order to get the exact right result, you have to specify, you have to be more clear about the requirement. You have to, whenever you do the prompt engineering, you have to specify every single details. Then the AI can generate you the better result, right?
Yeah, I think people need to get used to how to ask right questions to ChatGPT or AI tools.
Yes.
Because sometimes if you don't know how to ask right questions, it's going to give you wrong answers. And sometimes it could be very costly if you copy paste those wrong answers to your code. And it could be challenging and risky. So I see that lots of developers that are using ChatGPT and to write code. Some companies, they see the risk of, those practices, some of them banning, which I don't think banning is going to solve the problem, because if you ban, people is going to still try to find shortcut. There's no way you can ban that stuff. So what they're going to do is they're going to send email. They're going to write the code on their own laptop, send it themselves, put it in their Google Drive, download the Word document or Google Doc. I mean, there's a million ways to work around, right?
Yes.
I do not think banning, generative AI at work is going to solve any problem. But at the same time, I kind of believe there's risk of just using generative AI, without any responsibility or caution. What do you see in the future in terms of when lots of developers today, the first instinct when they face problem is ask ChatGPT? Do you think, the software is going to have more bugs in the future, more errors, more risk? What do you think?
Oh, yes, 100%. No application in the world is 100% bug-free, right? So AI also makes mistakes. And the thing is, are you going to be able to catch that mistake and correct it? So if a developer gets the codes, gets the solutions from the AI, and let's say AI gives some invalid codes, right? And somehow developer was not able to catch it, but still developer decided to use it anyway. So which means it is going to cause some issue during the production, because those issues has not been resolved yet. So I do think that at some point they are going to need AI testers that can test the AI applications and to make it better. The more you test, the better the application will become. And AI is also a learner at some point. It's just constantly learning and then helping you to give you the solution or generating you the code based on the learning. And yes, AI can also make mistake. So when the AI makes mistakes, the programmers also have to teach the AI on how to correct the mistakes like this in the future. So therefore, it is important for you to continuously to test your codes. Even if the code has already been generated and tested by AI multiple times, you still have to test it by yourself. So human brain is still needed.
At least for the next few years.
Yeah, I would say at least for next 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So I'm just going to ask you one last question. Let's say I have a son wants to sign up for a computer science program. He's going to study for 4 years. I think all of them have very similar question. By 2029, there'll be no coding jobs because AI is doing all the jobs. And should I still go for a computer science degree, or what should I do at this point? What is your suggestion? You also studied in computer science. You have a master's degree in computer science, and you've been IT instructor for past 5 years. I do think you have some qualification to give some advice for those younger kids.
Sure. And I also wanted to ask you one question before I answer that. Suppose that right now there's a super fast calculator, right?
Okay.
So just because there's a super fast calculator, does that mean that you should stop learning mathematics?
So with no choice, I grew up in Chinese education. After coming to the United States, I think their math classes in high school was in the level of mental torture. And it became so much clear to me that China is way more advanced teaching math. And though I don't have a college degree, wherever I worked, it became my competitive advantage. Learning math was one of the best things that I did, though I didn't enjoy in high school, especially in the Chinese education system. So absolutely, yes, it doesn't matter that calculator will do all the job. When I look back, it's not about calculator. It's calculator is in my mind now, right? It is in my brain. The way of problem solving, the way of processing information, I think it just made it better. So why not? I would still learn math. Yes.
Exactly.
The answer is absolutely yes.
So now imagine if you did not know any math.
I'll be extremely dumb,
Yes.
stupid, incompetent, and probably I would not able to, get a job or run a business. Probably I'll be broke.
That's exactly what will happen if you don't know programming and if you just completely rely on AI, Because AI at the end of the day is taking instructions from you. And in order to be able to give the instructions to the AI, you have to have some comprehensive knowledge in programming. Otherwise, it's just like a calculator, right? Sitting over there and you cannot give any instructions. You cannot actually use it. Then what's the point, right? To be able to use that super fast calculator, you have to have some good understanding of some mathematics, right? Then you can use it better. So for the programmers, you have to have good understanding of programming so that you can use the AI tool better to do even more work.
Okay, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. When you ask question, it became much clearer to me. I hope that you're asking lots of questions from your students.
Yes, I ask a lot of questions from my students during the class.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being in my podcast.
Thank you.
And also thank you so much for helping to change lots of people's life. One time I remember that you sent me a screenshot of one of your Instagram follower asking, Muhtar, what's your mother's name? And you were like freaking out. You're texting me. It was like, this lady is asking my mother's name. What she's going to do? I look at her name. I was like, okay, I kind of recognize the background. And I was like, okay, she's going to probably pray for your mom. And you ask, why you're asking. And my prediction was correct. And she said, you changed my life, and I want to pray for you and also for your mom for raising this kind of kid. And that is one of the story of many. And I thank you so much for teaching all these students for this many years.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Yeah, I was blessed to be able to teach them.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.